Good morning and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Ten Hag sacking. Has it happened? When will it happen? Why hasn't it taken place? Big questions being asked of Ineos, the Manchester United board, after two back-to-back 3-0 defeats at home for Manchester United. The worst start so far during Ten Hag's reign. Serious questions being posed by fans, by rivals, by the mainstream media, and civil war kicking off last night amongst Manchester United fans. And everybody's getting the blame, by the way. If you're Ten Hag in, you're to blame. If you're Ten Hag out, you're to blame. If you do fan cams, if you're silent, if you're in the stadium, I saw season ticket holders blamed. It was a crazy night. Thankfully, in fairness, no one was blaming me for it last night. Normally, I get some kind of tweet saying I'm at fault. I was quite glad to wake up and I took no strays. But look, there is a smile on my face, and that's because I saw my beautiful children off to school this morning, and I walked the dog, and it was a nice morning on a personal level. And then you realize the state that your football club is in. There's some updates on Ten Hag's future. We're going to go through it with you all this morning, but hit the like button first of all. Make sure you are subscribing. Make sure the bell notification button is turned on as well if you haven't done so already. And look, has he been officially sacked? Is he going to be sacked? For me, the answer is yes. He may not have lost his job today. He may be at Carrington, but the writing is on the wall. The first official update that we have got from James Ducker is that Erik ten Hag will remain in charge at Manchester United for Porto and the Aston Villa games. Focus remains on supporting the manager, his staff and players, but little doubt the pressure is building. A big week for the Man United manager. And for me, first and foremost, whenever I see these statements, that is death row, dead man walking. That is public backing with that little bit on the side. That's the biggest bit of truth. The pressure is there. Now, personally, I think he should be gone today. I think this is a mistake from Ineos. I don't understand what they're waiting for. I want us to behave like a big club. I want us to behave like a club that has built this structure. Now, I understand that they put a lot of time and energy and effort this summer into giving Ten Hag the best platform and the best foundation possible for him to perform. And in my humble opinion, he hasn't delivered. And it's one of those moments again where I didn't want to be right about him not turning it around. I didn't want this to be the case. I wanted this to work because I want Man United to be successful. I was called out yesterday. I had loads of DMs from people saying, Terry, how could you be disappointed in the loss when you wanted to lose? Well, again, listen to what I actually said and digest it for a moment. It went against the grain for me. It went against every fiber of my being to want to lose. But my rationale was simple and I stand by it. I don't believe if we won the game yesterday and played well, that we're going to become a consistent side under Erik ten Hag. So therefore, we're delaying the inevitable. Equally, we go away to Porto and win well. We go away to Villa and win well. I still think what we saw yesterday against Tottenham, what we saw against Liverpool, what we saw against Brighton, what we saw for large parts of last season will happen again on a regular basis. I really do believe that. The stay of execution, I just think it's a waste of time. I think what Man United should be doing is moving on from this point. And I saw a tweet from Phil Brown, who says, you have absolutely no right to be the Man United manager after this, to ask for patience or to ask to be judged in May. Ineos have a decision to make right now, whether they want to or not. Preserving with this, expecting it will get better is like watering a dead plant. And I feel we're absolutely the same about this. You see rivals celebrating. You see the media absolutely rubbing their hands together to a point yesterday where they were saying nonsense. I heard Paul Scholes say United spent £1 billion in the last 10 years, more than City, and it's never spoken about in the mainstream. I thought, what are you talking about? We speak about it all the time. The news speak about it all the time. We speak about it all the time. What are you talking about? So we've seen this everywhere, and I just want a resolution. Then there's a civil war element, and I'm just going to say on this, because I'm not getting involved in the intricacies of it. I don't believe anyone, any content creator is to blame for where Man United are per se. I believe fans that have funded the Glazers, including myself, helped put us where we were. We should have voted with our feet a long time ago. But I don't believe any one individual Man United fan, a journalist, or anything else is responsible for Man United being where they are today. You know, and I remember sticking up for Rants and Flex when they stood outside the stadium 5, 6, 7 years ago, and fans were threatening them. What the fuck are you doing? It is not that they're making content. They're spreading the words of fans around the world so everybody feels more engaged with the football club. That has nothing to do with why we're bad at the game. When AFTV were not the reason Arsenal are bad. They're not the reason that, you know, there's fan cameras that rant and moan that are City fans. Does that stop City from being successful? It doesn't make sense. So for me, that element is crazy. I think what we should be doing in this space is attacking each other's opinions, attacking each other's thought processes, pushing for the best for our clubs. But I think we should be leaving the personalities out of it, in my humble opinion. So big up to everyone that's involved. We have to stay together, not just as Man United fans, but as content creators. I think is very, very important indeed. But for me, I think giving Ten Hag a couple of more games when you've essentially sacked him already, and this is why I think he's already sacked, but we're just prolonging it. And I don't get yet why we're prolonging it. That's the only bit I'm challenging. I think this board cannot know less about football than me. I think I know a fair bit. I'm a fan. I would hope that the people running Man United, the Baradas and the Ashworths and Wilcots and co, know more about football than me. It'd be crazy if they didn't. They cannot believe for a single second that Ten Hag is going to turn this around. They cannot believe for a single moment that we're going to suddenly start to become consistent, win, lose, or draw the next 2 games. The only element that maybe makes sense as to why they haven't got rid of him yet is maybe the idea that they're looking for the right replacement. Maybe they've got to do a bit of work in this next couple of weeks to find that person, to get it all nailed down so it's a quick turnaround. Because what we don't want as Man United fans is the sacking to happen and you wait a week, 2 weeks, and we still haven't decided on who we're bringing in. Remember when we got rid of Ollie? Yes, we brought in Ralph as an interim, but look how long it took us to decide on who to bring in. We don't need that. For me, it needs to be a quick turnaround. Sacked on a Monday, new manager on a Tuesday, photo shoot done, we move on from there. But Man United fans, I will warn you of this. And I think this is a really important element for Man United fans to remember. Even if we sack the manager and a new person comes in, we should improve. Structure on in and out of possession should happen. I expect us to become better on the football pitch. But don't delude yourselves into believing that we're suddenly going to become a peak top side in the league straight away. Even if we have a spike, there'll be moments, there'll be peaks and troughs still, because the squad does need to be improved. The idea that the players are guilt-free here is wrong, but I do believe the head coach needs to be replaced. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. We might take some calls on the show as well. Of course, people hit the like button, please. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for sharing this. KJ is joining us in a few moments' time as well. You're a legend, Terry. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that, mate. We'll never forgive Ten Hag for that 7-0 versus Liverpool. And a lot of people haven't forgiven Ten Hag for that, my friend. And I totally understand why. Big up, Terry. In the summer, I was surprised you weren't as opposed to Ten Hag staying because you didn't want to throw your toys out the pram, because deep down, I always knew you wanted him to be sacked. Look, as I said, mate, and my exact words were, I'm objectively going to get behind it, which means I am burying my emotion at that time. And the reason I did that is because part of it was personal, and I just don't want to be angry all the time. And I was frustrated. And look, we don't know what we don't know yet. So I'm seeing people, Staffy might be coming on soon as well. And we're not a big club because we haven't sacked him today. I'm not going to make those overarching statements about Ineos just yet, because there's a lot that we don't know. And we can surmise and we can predict and we can make assumptions around what's going on. We have no idea why he was completely kept on. Part of my thinking is a lot of this squad really wanted Ten Hag to stay and really respects Ten Hag. And I almost think there's an element from Ineos of giving the manager enough rope to hang himself, metaphorically speaking. So do you know what? And this is hypothetical. I don't know the players. I'm going to name some, but this is an example. Maybe some influential players like Bruno and the Sandro, Onana, Rashford, Mainu, and Rasmus and Garnacho. Maybe that in the big thematic review that was done, turned around and said, "We love this guy, but we don't think he's had a structure. Please give the manager a chance. We think under a structure with calmness and the club being run well, he can deliver." And maybe Ineos after interviewing everybody and going through the process, went, "You know what? We're going to give this manager a chance to prove himself. We're going to back him publicly. We're going to improve the squad, whether it's him or somebody else, and we're going to give him a chance." Now they can walk into that dressing room, the owners, or the new owners and the board, and say, we did what you wanted, and he still didn't deliver. What that should do, and professionally speaking, in my life, I've seen this happen, is that as and when he's moved on, the players can accept it because they don't feel like the manager was just thrown under a bus. So this is what I'm saying. That's a hypothetical, Steve, from a positive outset from Ineos. There is a negative side as well, which could very much be that they bottled it. And I'm very open to that also being the case. But I am going to give them time to rectify their mistakes. And look, if we've changed the manager after the next 2 games and Rude comes in or Tuchel comes in and we become a much better footballing side, everybody's going to forget it. People will forgive Ineos very quickly. I mean, people forgive. That's what was crazy about the civil war that was going on yesterday. I want to see that energy. I didn't see that energy towards the Glazers on a consistent basis, but we have it for each other. I can't believe fans attacking each other. And I'm like, you do realize there's a bunch of billionaires that have plunged us into this for the last 17 years. That should be where your focus is. But that's just me. That's just my opinion on it. But there we go. I mean, Nagelsmann is an option. I'd love you guys to list for us the managers you think should come into the club. Now, if you're a rival and you want to banter, fair enough, but give us some honest suggestions. I miss these shows. Hello, yes, I know. We ain't done them for a long time. Maybe they'll come back. We've got some plans. KJ is here with me. Morning, mate. Obviously a horrible morning for Man United fans again after yesterday's result. I know your head's kind of cooled down a little bit now.
That's a lie. It got worse. It got freaking worse. Because last night, I could spend time with my wife after the game. Spend time with my wife, watching films, relax, and remember life is good.
Netflix.
Woke up this morning, saw my wife go off to work, and then everything just boom hit me there and then because my joy is gone, and now I have to think about Man United seriously. And it got worse because Terry. Here's just a couple of things I just want to share with you. We had 7 points this season from 6 Premier League games. In Ten Hag's first season, he had 12 after 6. In his second season, he had 9 after 6. We're on 7 after 6. We have gone backwards twice in a row. We're on -3 goal difference after 6 games. Also, we are 12th in the league. Every other top 6 rival that we have, they're up there in the top half of the table with positive goal difference. Okay? There's that. Obviously, there's the big, one win in 9 in Europe. And then there's also, in the last 15 Premier League games, Everton have won more points than Manchester United.
Wow.
Relegation fodder, mess of a club, points deductions. Everton have won more points in 15 games than we have. They have 21, we have 19. Okay? We're 4 points off relegation right now. What else have we got? Yesterday, Tottenham had an XG of 5.33. We had an XG of 0.98. We didn't even have an expected goal yesterday. And we was at home. And to top it all off, I know some people have been mentioning the players. And the players are going to get him sacked. And the players are going to be throwing him under the bus. And these are the same players that got all the other managers sacked. And they are the problem. They're the issue. They're the virus. Well, let's take a look at that. Out of the 25-man squad that we have, around that number, 8 players, 8 of those are not Ten Hag signings. And even with those, Some of them have been getting new contracts. Marcus Rashford, new contract by Ten Hag. Bruno Fernandes, their captaincy and a new contract under Eric Ten Hag. I swear Delo got a new contract under Eric Ten Hag. So you've got 3 players out of those 8 already that Ten Hag is showing some kind of backing towards, even though they're not his signings. Amad Diallo, he's getting his breakthrough under Eric Ten Hag, and he's looking like he's going to get a new contract. Now, I think that's way more of a club decision, but hey. So this whole thing of, oh, it's the players and all these players are getting the manager sacked, and it's the same players, the same cycle. We need to get rid of all these. We've got rid of most of them because most of them are his. Most of these players are his. So that excuse is done. The injury excuse is done because guess what? Most of the players are fit. We're only missing Luke Shaw and Malacia, really. Most of the players have been fit. And one last thing, Terry, I need to admit something. After all of that's been said, I need to admit something. I was a fool. I was a fool. I was a fraud. I was a charlatan. I was dense. I was whatever you want to call it. I lacked football IQ. Whatever you want to call it. Because myself, back in 2022, when we first got Eric Ten Hag, I sat there with hope. I sat there with belief. And I said, yes. And I said, yep, this man will be the guy to help change us. But I forgot. No, I didn't forget. I ignored. I blinkered. I blinded myself to the truth that is another manager that the Glazers signed, and yet I believed in it. I always say the Glazers make the wrong decisions. They already had 5 managers before him that they picked. Remember, because they inherited Fergie, and he's the greatest of all time. So he carried them. They picked Moyes, they picked LVG, they picked Jose, Oli, and Ragnick. 5 managers before them, before Ten Hag, and they all failed. So what was going on in my damn mind to think that the 5th manager that the Glazers pick is going to actually work? Now, I'm an idiot. I'm clearly an idiot. And this is the problem that we have right now. Everything changed. I know Brandon was saying foolishness yesterday, saying, oh yeah, things haven't changed at Manchester United. Where it has. Because guess what? We brought in a new board. You got Sir Jim. You've got Brailsford. You have Blanc. You have all these new board. You have the new footballing structure. Ashworth, Barada, Wilcox, all the new guys. Yo, fam, we even got new coaches. You got Rude. You got Rene. You got the goalkeeping coach. You got the set piece coach. New coaches. Hey, Terry, even better, new upgrades to the training facilities. New tunnel at Old Trafford. So you can't tell me nothing's changed. Everything hasn't changed. New players, Terry. We got new players. We saw the new signings. We sold some of the old guys. There's one thing that hasn't changed, Terry. One thing that remains from the Glazer regime that's just been stinking out the gap. The manager. The manager has been here since the Glazers. Now that Ineos are here, they need to remove the Glazer rot. You can say that, oh, but some of these players will come and go. That's changing. That's definitely changing. Because guess what? Players can't stay here forever. Managers can last longer than players at football clubs. That's a fact. So we need to remove the last remnants of the stinky, disgusting, horrible Glazer regime and remove Ten Hag and allow Ineos to bring in their guy, the one that they truly believe in, to help make us come forward. Now, I'm open to the fact that they made this mistake. I will happily say that they bottled it, because they did. Because me and you knew that this guy weren't it. Me and you didn't want him to stay, but we were objective and said, you know what? Let them do what they can do. Let them do what they think is correct, and then move forward, and we'll see. But in reality, them man bottled it because they've seen the Glazers, they've seen all these other football management and all these football owners do these things of sacking managers, and they didn't want to be those guys. I get it. You don't want to be seen as the bad guys in the press, to the fan base, all of that. You want to be seen. You want to start on the right foot. But guys, your pursuit of trying to do it that way has made you make the wrong decision, and now you're back on the wrong foot with many people. Not me, because I'm willing for them to correct their mistake. But they bottled it, and now we're in this position where I have to say to them, look, if you do not sack him by the international break, if you do not sack him by next Monday, you have a week, then I have to, if you don't do that, I'll have to come out and say something. I'll have to come out and look at you slightly differently. Because now I'm questioning, why are you truly keeping this man? Because it can't be for football reasons, and that's the only reason why I want you here. If I wanted more incompetence, I would have just let the Glazers stay and not care. I would have not protested. I would not have bought shirts, continue to do all of that. Because, hey, listen, I've got incompetence already. I don't need more. So the main reason why I want you here is to control the football element. And if you're not sacking this man by next Monday, that means there's incompetence running through. And I personally cannot have that. So, yeah, that is my... Terry, as I said, my head got hotter as I woke up this morning, realizing the foolishness that I saw yesterday. And I'm sure we get onto some players. But yeah, they need to get rid of this man. And you know what? I don't care if it's rude for a year and then bringing in a manager that they actually want, or maybe Rude is secretly the manager they do want, and they're going to integrate him in. Cool. But this man cannot remain and needs to be swift. He comes out, Rude takes over.
I agree. Look, and anyone who doesn't think Man United have changed in any way, shape, or form, I think Brandon actually messaged during the show. I'll put it up on the screen. He says the dreaded vote of confidence. I told you guys questions need to be asked of Ineos, and nothing's changed but the face. But it depends how you look at the dreaded vote of confidence. The dreaded vote of confidence normally means the manager's going to go, and if the manager's going to go this early, then maybe that would suggest that change is there. Like I've said already, if people want to say there's no change because Ineos gave Ten Hag a chance, if people want to say that not sacking him today proves they're no different to Woodward and the Glazers, that is their opinion. I am still, my judgment, my full wholehearted opinion on Ineos is still up in the air. I like some things they've done. I disagree with things. I don't think there's been anywhere near enough time. You've got to remember as well, the people actually running the club day to day are not Ineos. It's the likes of Barada and Ashworth. They've been at the club 2.5 months. So I think it would be exceedingly premature. If premature to a dating point of view, you haven't even pulled it out your pants and you've come, that would be the level of prematurity of completely judging Ineos at this point. You've come in your pants. You're not even started kissing yet either. You've sat on the sofa at the house. You've been out, had a few drinks. You're at the yard. You're sitting down. She gives you a smile and you go, oh, that's how premature it would be, in my opinion, to completely judge Ineos right now. Not saying you can't have an opinion, because I think it's wrong that we haven't sacked Ten Hag this morning, giving him these next 2 games to prove himself. And maybe that's because of my perspective, because I don't think he can turn it around in the long term. But I'm not willing to turn on these people right now and say that, because if every fan base had done that, City fans would have turned on their owners before they became good. Liverpool would have done it with FSG. Arsenal would have done it before they're in this point they're in now, where most of them are happy. Chelsea fans, I mean, they'd have burnt their stadium down last year, but now look how happy they are. You've got to give these ownership time, but you must criticize in the same breath. Do not be drawn in by the rivals that want you to crash them. Because you notice that suddenly rivals want us to have a go more at Ineos than they ever did about the Glazers. Remember, rivals used to defend the Glazers every single show we ever did because they knew they were the real problem. They actually know that Ineos are doing some really good things. I remember Brandon in the summer saying, bloody hell, you're moving well. So they want us to turn against them because they want us to burn even the things that have had some green shoots of hope. But where I do agree with the likes of Brandon is I'm annoyed. I am annoyed that he is still the manager this morning. Some suggestions of new coaches here. Almarin is the best option according to Paul Lucas. Inzaghi is what Dragon says here. I wouldn't mind a little bit of Inzaghi. Inzaghi or Sebastian, it's Holness, I think is how it's pronounced. Yeah, he's done very, very well. Strasbourg Steve says Holness, the Stuttgart manager, should be a legitimate candidate for United job. Same with Gasparini of Atalanta. Yeah, I like him. Marco Rose of Leipzig. and Wilfred Nancy. Do you know what I like about Strasbourg, Steve? He actually watches all these teams play religiously. So I trust his opinion more than most fans. So I know he watches these games. Few interesting suggestions here as well, though. Gareth Southgate. That'd be an interesting one. Can you imagine? I will say this. I don't want Southgate. Please don't take this as an endorsement. But he'd get us in a better structure game by game. We wouldn't get run through like we did yesterday. Like, I'm not supporting it, but I guarantee we'd play better than we did yesterday. I guarantee you we'd be better. That's how bad we are under Ten Hag. Staffy and Sunshine are here with us. Staffy, I know your head was very hot yesterday. Reports this morning that we've seen that the club has essentially given the player the manager a couple of games to save his job, the sort of dreaded stay of execution. How are you reading into this morning? And do you think he's a dead man walking?
We're not a big club anymore. I already said it on Twitter. You mentioned it. I'm going to say it again. We're not a big club anymore. A big club would have been proactive. We've been reactive for years. And I was waiting for the day we get new operations, semi-new ownership, as we've seen what happened with Ineos. And once again, they're showing what the club has been about for the last 10, 11, 12 years, whatever you want to say. You know, they're just a reactive club. They're never on the front end. They don't do what Bayern did and just get rid of managers and get rid of board members when they see the standards are significantly dropping. They're not doing what Real Madrid do when they think it's just not good enough to win domestic cups when you should be competing for the league and competing for Europe. They're not being proactive, you know, and I was hoping they'd be proactive, and they're not. You know, I was hoping that I woke up early today. Look, it's 6 a.m. I shouldn't be streaming right now. It's 6 a.m. I woke up at 4. That's how excited I was to wake up and see if this manager gets sacked, you know, and he's not sacked, you know, and the statement that comes out is that they're going to back him. All right, let's back him. We play Porto, we play Villa. Nothing's going to change in the next 2 games. You know, we've been saying that for what, 3 seasons now? Everyone sets these unrealistic timelines. Oh, but you know what? I'm going to give him the next 10 games. Oh, I'm going to give him the next 2 months. Oh, I'm going to give him the summer. I'm going to give him this. Give him all you want. This guy's not a good manager. He showed it more than once. He showed it about, I don't know. I was looking at the tweets yesterday. People were stating how many times you lost by 3 goals or more. This guy's just been repeating the same thing, and it's the same cycle over and over and over again. He saves his job sometimes, but then once again, he goes back to doing the same incompetencies that leads us to just being a bad team, you know, and people just want to give him unrealistic timelines to turn it around. He won't turn it around. The team, you can tell the players don't believe in him anymore. They're rattled. They've given up on him. Some of the fans have given up on him. I'm seeing people finally turn on him yesterday, the likes of Marcel and them finally turning on him. But the board is not doing anything at the end of the day. And I just know another big club would have done something about it. And my club no longer does that. So unfortunately, unless I see something that significantly changes, we're no longer a big club. Our juice has run out. We've lived off this juice for 11 years now, and the juice has run out. We're no longer a big club, and people don't want to admit it. Until we start moving like a big club and start being proactive, I'm not going to change my mind. You know, I just came to acceptance that my club is no longer big.
Look, I understand that. And look, we could be, look, if I'm looking at this from both sides and being the host, devil's advocate, we could be being proactive behind the scenes right now in terms of working on a replacement, talking to somebody, getting our ducks in a row. However, I think you can do that whilst getting rid of Ten Hag and just put Ruud in charge for a few games. So for me, keeping him here for 2 games, I don't see how they think it's... I maybe we're blind, but I cannot see how the performances improve, especially with the 2 teams that we're playing. It's, you know, and I know some people will say, well, sometimes it's good to get 2 tough games out the way and give the new manager the international break and then some maybe slightly easier games. I don't care about that. I think we've just got to end this madness right now. So listen, I agree with you. What we've done by not getting rid of him is not the... I'm not going to say we're not a big club anymore, but it's not the sign of a big club. So I agree with you largely. Sunshine, obviously, another painful day for Man United. What's your head saying about all of this and the fact that most Man United fans now want to see the manager gone? He's kind of been given this stay of execution. What are you saying?
Oh, firstly, I was in A&E for like 13 hours before the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Just my face is swollen up. I think it's a wisdom tooth thing. yeah, I had migraines in the temple and everything. So I was at A&E in my flipping Man United studio looking like some tramp, yeah, from a Saturday night out. I get home, I think, oh, got 3 hours before the game. Let me try to get some sleep because, boy, I've been there since morning. I actually missed the game. I woke up right at the end of the game. I see 3-0 and I see Bruno walking off with his head down thinking, what's happened here? Then I see a snapshot of the red card and thinking, oh my gosh, was it a red? I bet it wasn't a red. That was my first thought. Let me see the challenge though. I can be objective. Let's have a look. My man slips and catches him. Yeah, it's a foul, but they're definitely not a red. I'm thinking typical Man United. So how did we get down 3? Was it the red card later on in the game? Was it early? Like, how did we perform with 10 men? Like, I'm asking all these relevant questions. I start seeing some of the goals and I'm thinking, this is like bog standard, not even no energy, no effort, no nothing. So I'm thinking, in my mind, it was a reflection of what I've seen with previous managers come towards the back end of their last seasons. Players give up, no confidence, CBA mentality, too much pressure. They've given, they've packed in, can't even do the basics. And I'll say again, I say this every time, come that time of the season, I always end up saying, if you can't play for the manager and you can't play for the badge, play for yourself at least. Do a minimum. And they can't even do that. So we've reached that same turning point with the same situation with a different manager, but the same outcome where players are now down tooling because they've lost confidence. Now, if they've gone into a situation where they've lost confidence, let's break that down. Have I not told you, Terry, KJ, Staffy beforehand, this season, that if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, your confidence won't be there? Manchester United have created more than enough chances this season. We were also top of the list for missing the most big chances this season by 17. Absolutely. Were we closing gaps down on the pitch? Were we winning the ball higher up on the pitch? Yes. So clearly, whatever has been working has been working. But like I've said to you before, when you're a club low on confidence and you're at Manchester United, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you start to question and doubt whether things are working. That's just a fact, like it or not. This is why I said I don't care what style of football you play. It's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal, yes, of course. You want to control games. You want to win games. Facts. That's not a problem. But putting all your eggs in the basket on style of play and player profiles is irrelevant to me. I told you before about the Nana situation. Yes, you could find a keeper who can kick the ball 8 times accurately out the back. It don't matter to me as long as you don't keep the ball out of the net. Because if we're creating more chances but we ain't clinical up front, Terry, like I've said 2 seasons ago now, why does it matter? Why is there so much energy towards these players making a big difference? Same with a manager and coach. To me, it's always going to be a mentality issue. Because when shit hits the fan, when you're actually having to play at Old Trafford, the shirt weighs heavier. Now, yes, Staffy said we're not a big club. We've been saying that for 5 years, 6 years. We don't move like a big club, so I would expect big club mentality. However, we are Manchester United. So I have to ask myself and go, when you play for Man United and you've not been at your peak, so you've not been at your best, is there actually more pressure to actually go and deliver? Absolutely. Because you're trying to get back to a stage where Manchester United are respected whilst the whole world are laughing at you. Some man cannot handle that level of pressure. That shirt weighs heavier now. It's all right being in the midst of walking into a great successful team under Sir Alex Ferguson and looking amazing. But now you're having to bring the glory days back to Man United or find something. Managers, coaches, boards, players, everything. There's more pressure. So can these players actually perform well enough and then go and get the results? So let's break it down. We look at Fulham. We saw how many chances we missed against Fulham. Clear-cut chances, including Bruno. Rate him or not. Missed chances. You get 1 goal. You miss the sitter at the end. 2-0. No confidence. This team is restructuring, right? This is a process, right? So part of that process is finding your confidence. Being able to trust what you're doing on the pitch is working. Win games, get goals. By doing what you're doing. We've created enough chances. We're doing this. So this is not like a coaching error at this moment. Don't get me wrong, I'll get onto the coach in a second, given the time. So I'm just going through, again, logistics. So Fulham, missing chances. Next game, Brighton, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Brighton?
Yeah, played Brighton.
Yeah.
Brighton.
Yeah.
One of our best performances I've seen us do on the pitch in terms of how we played. Brighton, very stubborn team. Go back to the other fixtures that we've played against Brighton, they've whopped us off the park.
Absolutely. So again, massive changes. However, we want the wins, we want the goals. We were unlucky with the Zirkzee situation. If that's 2-1, you've earned that game because Brighton played well. But we actually turned the game around. Ten Hag made changes at halftime. He got it right, but he didn't get the win. So therefore, that's gone in the bin. It's scraps. There's no positives from that. There's no confidence because it's like, raw, we didn't get the win. So already fans are looking at going, we didn't get the win. We didn't get the goals. We lost. Banter from other rival fans. So already there's no confidence taken from that game, even though we performed well, which I've been saying to people, you lot have been banging on about, raw, if you play good football, I'll take that. I'll take good football. I said your results will determine whether you like it or not. I promise you. Now we're here, we're experiencing it. It's a fact. So next game, Liverpool capitulated for 10, 20 minutes. We're actually toe and toe. It looked quite confident, but we ain't got the confidence from Brighton. We've gone into this Liverpool game thinking shit. So already the mentality is different. We've gone into the Liverpool game where we're neck and neck until Casemiro starts putting on a Liverpool shirt. So there's an individual error, had nothing to do with the manager. And I already said in that same stream, if I can recall, so I'm going off memory right now. If I can recall, I said everybody started Casemiro before that game started. But now all of a sudden he's shit, he needs to be sold. But okay, he fucked up. He messed up. He gave them confidence. We then reduced our confidence again because we've just struggled against Brighton. We're playing a better team at Liverpool at home. There's more pressure now. So all these things are adding up. I'm just trying to give you a timeline of an emotional breakdown of what's going on at our club. And at some point, this was going to capitulate for these players, in my honest opinion, where they go, I've had enough. I cannot no longer believe in what Ten Hag is doing. Does that make Ten Hag a shit coach? No, it does not. Has he made mistakes? Yes, like I said, I'll get onto that if I've got the time.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you on that because I think it feeds into what we're saying. I don't disagree with you that at the start of the season, I saw some improvements in terms of shape and play from last year. And I'm not going to go back on those words, but a lack of results, chances being missed, confidence has been drained. And we look at in the last sort of 3 or 4 matches, invariably, we have looked like barring Crystal Palace, where we were quite good, we've looked like the team of last year.
Yeah.
Surely we have to look at the manager, though, from the perspective of we need a head coach that can put a structure and system together that can build confidence in these players. Otherwise, I heard Mark Goldberry say this morning. And I disagreed with what Mark said, that sometimes in life you just can't fix things. Sometimes things are they're beyond repair. But surely there has to be a way of fixing this, and it has to be through the board bringing in the right head coach to build a system that gets the best out of these players, where we can grow that confidence. That there has to be a resolution to this, surely.
Well, here's the thing for me, Terry. One, I do agree with your statement in the sense that it can be fixed. I disagree that it cannot be fixed, but sometimes if there's enough water under the bridge, then that person may have the right. So, for example, let me do it easily. So, if you're working with a manager who's at a job and respectfully, he's made some mistakes along the way, but his intentions have been bang on. You've lost respect for that guy, even if he then starts to get it right. For example, this season we've been playing better football. For this season, we've been creating a lot more chances. This season we've defensively been a lot better, respectfully, like in terms of how things are there. But you still hold something against this man because of the lack of respect you have for him, because too much water under the bridge. I believe another manager could come in with the same intentions, do exactly what he's been doing from the start of the season, and probably get better results. I genuinely believe that. And when I say it could do better, I mean in terms of getting these players on board, because I think they've tapped out again. And this isn't to say you've had new blood and it's the player's individual. When I say player is an issue, it's not so much the player that you've brought in is an issue. It is the culture and the mindset that is attached that they're walking into. It is still there in Manchester United. I don't believe a manager single-handedly on his own changes the culture and concept of a mentality. I believe he has.
Can I jump in here?
I believe 2 seconds, bro.
When you're done,
I believe he has a strong capability to be able to influence that by the way you play football and getting the results. However, like I've said, if those players aren't experiencing the fruits from those results, i.e., you're creating more chances and you're scoring the goals, etc., and you're not winning games, then the confidence goes. Therefore, they look at the manager, and rightly so. You're meant to look at the manager. So I look at it now, Terry, and go, if you get rid of the manager, no problem. I've said plenty of times on streams, once we have a structure in place, I'm happy to get rid of any manager. It's no problem for me. I've got no issue because I trust my structure to be able to do the right thing. But you have to remember, this guy was vetted. Jamie Redknapp absolutely chatted a load of bull crap on Sky Sports when I saw him saying, you can't go looking for another manager. It takes his confidence away. Ten Hag already knew that they were looking for a new manager. If you walk into a new job and they're taking over the whole project, you may have to reapply for your job. That is normal. He was under the impression of that already. That's why he was quite calm over it.
Yeah.
Because you've been told already that he had to vet for his new job. The Ineos have looked at it and gone, raw, I'll give you an opportunity, but I'm always going to speak to other people, Terry. That's what he's done. And overall, they've gone, you know what? We're going to get rid of your coaching staff that you've brought in. We're going to take over the signings, but I'm going to give you a chance because there are some light within what you've done. So we'll probably give him a season. I don't think that's bad. That's bad from Ineos to go, we don't feel there is a better manager at this stage to bring in. However, I'm not going to let you get away with the coach you brought in and also the players. So let us take control of that and you go and do your thing. Now he's at a stage where he could be sacked and that's okay because now he's got everything there that he needs to do.
Yeah, I understand that. Staffy, I know you want to jump in, but I want to pose a question in that. Maybe you're going to ask the same thing as well. People like yourself and I, we sat on Straight Facts in the summer and we both sort of universally agree, like objectively, we'll get behind it. We'll see what happens. But we all believe that to fix the culture at the club, the fastest and quickest way to doing that was replacing the manager at the same time as the new board were coming in. Because typically in life, it's quicker and cleaner that way. What's your take on what Najee has just said and sort of fixing the culture and Ten Hag, etc.?
I'm just really confused while we're talking about all this when we're not even talking about the basics yet. Like, all this is nice talk if we're talking about why we no longer win the league or why we no longer compete, or why we're no longer this, we're no longer that. I think I was here yesterday when I said we're deprived of basics. We just don't do basics. I expected to come on the stream and talk about what we get wrong in the basics. We no longer sit at the big table for now. There's a big table and there's the kids table. We just need to know our place. Right now, we're in the kids table. Until we earn our spot to be at the big table, then we can start talking about culture and stuff like that. We don't play basic football correctly. It is that simple. I understand what Najee is saying, but he's talking about stuff that is so far away from where we are right now. I could talk about that stuff if I'm not winning the league.
Give me an explanation on that. You make a statement. Give me an explanation because I don't believe you're right.
Give an explanation on what?
You just made a statement to say I'm talking about something that is way beyond where we are. So give me an explanation.
Yeah, I'm explaining it. So I would understand what you're talking about if we're a team that continues to struggle to win the league. If we're on like a 3-year run where we're finishing second place like Arsenal and we don't win and you question the mentality of the club, I'll be like, all right, I hear what you're saying. We don't do basics on the football correctly. So I cannot look at these bigger fixes when the smaller fixes are not there yet. So
just for understanding, just so I'm clear. So you're talking about you're saying that the mentality issue is only an issue if you're challenging for the top 4.
No, I'm not saying it's an only issue. Okay,
that's that's ultimately what I'm saying is regardless of top 4 or not, like the culture of a mentality is important regardless. And I'm saying that has had an impact no matter what managers come in. So I'm unsure why you're struggling with that.
So it's not the only issue. Of course, you can always address mentality. I don't think this team currently just has a mentality issue. I think this team just doesn't know how to play football. I feel like it's always easy to talk about mentality, but no one actually wants to look at the 90 minutes and analyze a football game. Because I can't
even lie, bro. I think I've broken down the first 3 games within the 90 minutes more than you have at this stage. I'll be honest.
So you talked about mentality a lot. You didn't talk about basics of football.
I did. I talk about style of play. I spoke about how we put the ball in the back of net. I thought the chances.
Well, you're talking about being clinical when we don't even.
No. I also spoke about chances being. I'm just correcting you, bro. If it's okay to, because I think it's right to. I'm not going to be misunderstood by someone. I'll be honest.
I think you're going to go ahead and speak.
Yeah. So of course, I spoke about us not finishing our chances, us creating more, being defensively a lot more solid in certain areas at the start of the pitch. I talked about our confidence not coming from that. Us doing the right things on the pitch and not being able to capitalize and get the wins, which does go into your confidence, which does go into your mentality. And these players that we saw against when we FC20, the 1-1, the player, your big Ericsson, senior figures come out and said the other team wanted it more. That is a mentality issue, whether you like that or not at this stage, whether it's building or not, Staffy. Like, Mentality is massive at Man United. The culture at Manchester United has been broken for the past 10, 15 years.
But I don't think we're losing. I don't think we're losing games because of mentality. I just think we're losing games. We're not winning games because we don't do the basics on the football pitch. So when you talk about being clinical, I don't think we create enough chances. We have 1 goal in the last 3 games, but I think KG mentioned a stat. KG mentioned a stat earlier. I forgot you said what was the GA that we? Sorry, not GA. XG we had yesterday. It was under 1 goal. And I'm respectfully, I can't talk about strikers being clinical when I got 3 goals scored against me by Brennan Johnson, Solanke, who, let's be honest, I rate, but a lot of people don't rate, and Timo Werner. We didn't play against a front line that is so clinical. One of Spurs' biggest issues was them not being clinical all season. So we got outdone by a better coach. And these are the things that I want to focus on. I just don't think people talk enough about us just not being basically a good football team. I look at managers around the world and around this league. Vincent Kompany, listen, big player, legend of the Premier League, but taking the Bayern job is probably the biggest thing he had to do in his career outside of obviously captain Man City. He goes in and he's already made him a better football team. That is not down to just mentality and the culture and this and that. No, he just did the basics right. These things later on follow. When you play good football, eventually confidence comes in. Eventually confidence kicks in. And eventually you want to win more. And you get that confidence to win more. And then you go on to winning trophies and winning stuff like that. We are not winning football games just because we're out. We're always going to get out coached. It's just that simple.
Hansi Flick goes to Barca and does
the same thing. Just 1 second.
You're repeating exactly what I said.
One second. Hansi Flick goes to Barca, does the same thing, has an injury crisis. The same thing we had last season. What does he do? He plays a bunch of kids. I don't know how many games of Barcelona you've watched. I haven't personally watched a lot of them. But when I found myself watching Barcelona, I'm like, who are these kids? Let me look them up. I didn't know who they are. And he had an injury crisis, and he played better football than us. Same thing around the league, Maresca. We all spoke about Maresca. And I personally said Maresca is going to start slow. But the guy is getting the basics of football on the pitch well. It is not that hard to see, Najee. All these things that you're talking about,
I don't think I've ever not. It's not the fact that I've never not seen the basics.
You still have to kick ball properly. I don't care. You could be the most confident man in the world.
I'll be honest. You're being very ignorant. You're being very ignorant to football in general. I think it's been very. I think it's been made very, very clear by myself and many others that the way we've played football has changed, and it has had a more of a positive impact. And that's fine if it is. But then if you want to challenge at least that theory, you would have to at least look at the chances that we've created at certain points in this season. You'd have to look at how we've defensively been structured, how we've shaped. All I've heard from you, bro, respectfully, is you've made statements saying the football, do the basics, this, but I've not heard you actually break down how to do that.
Well, to be fair, why you do that. Because, I break down every game here on every match reaction. Obviously, I'm not going to remember every game at 6 a.m.
I'm not even asking you to do that. You're missing the whole point. I've not asked you to do that. I'm not saying that you should do that. What I'm saying to you is,
the general idea. We don't play football.
Staffy, you're making statements. That's cool. Everyone can make statements in life. That's normal. But now I'm asking you to break down what you're actually talking about, because
so what do you want me to break down?
I can sit here and say I can see a change in how we play football, and I could sit there and give you graphs and go, I can see X, Y, Z. I can see how we press 5 yards a lot closer. I can see how the gaps have been reduced. I can see how the manager's coming off the touchline. Hold on.
See the last 2 goals we conceded,
bro. What's wrong with you? I'm just saying to you, I can do this. So if I'm making a statement, I'm going to prove it. Now I'm challenging what you're saying, and all you're doing is making a statement. It's almost like it's lazy, bro.
You just talked about mentality, bro. I didn't
just talk about mentality, but that's a listening issue. That's a listening issue.
Guys, can I jump in for a second here? So
of course.
I agree with large parts of what you have both said. I think mentality is a massive issue at Manchester United. I also agree with you, Staffy. I think we have been coached in the last 2 and a bit years, in a way where the basics are poor. And I give you an example where I agree with that massively. We all know Brennan Johnson is not would we all agree universally on this panel that Brennan Johnson isn't a highly technically gifted footballer?
Just talented, isn't he?
He's fast. But none of us would say he's techie, right? We would agree. Yeah. But the way Ange has his team drilled is that his first touch is okay and his passing's okay. And when Spurs attack, when they've got possession, when they're moving the ball quickly, sometimes his final ball isn't good enough. Sometimes his decision-making is wrong, but his general basics are quite good. And I think what you're both saying play a part here. I think it's impossible for these players to build the mentality needed if the basics are not worked on. And I'm going to go back to my sport in this. When I grew up I did kickboxing is a little different, but when I did the karate element of my sport, where you're doing like katas and forms, and it's really about the traditions, which I still think, by the way, to any young people that want to get involved in MMA, learn some traditional martial arts as well. It will help you. The one thing our coach and our coach in the UK trained more world champions than any other coach in our associations in the world, is everything he drilled into you was about basics. Basic stances, basic forms, everything being worked on. Even if you were third or fourth or fifth down in his club, you had to work as much on your basics as the white belts did when they joined. And he cared about it so much. And it was those little details in the competitions that led to us winning so many medals, being so good at what we did. So you two are not agreeing with each other overall, but I think both of you are making points that matter. I think to build the mentality, to become more clinical, to be more consistent, the basics have got to be there. The drills that you're working on with the ball and our shape in and out of possession is so bad. The bit that annoys me the most is against Crystal Palace, barring when we made the subs in the 75th minute and killed it, our shape in and out of possession was so good, we stopped a team that in the last 4 meetings have run through us. And I thought, there we go. That works. That should generally now be our shape because we don't have the players yet to be as open and expansive as we want to be. That should be our shape moving forward, and you grow from that point. You build your basics from that stage. The next 2 games, we're as open. I can't say the analogy I was going to give. Something that opens up quite wide. We're spread-eagled. Do you know what I mean? We're spreading like peanut butter, and we're 2 games running. Players just run through the middle of our team. For me, I want to have a go at the players, and I want to speak about mentality because it's been an issue at our club for a long time. But I find that it's almost impossible to do that until we've got our basic structures coached into this team right. Because I don't see how you can become that elite mentality monster when and again, if I go back to my sport, no one, even in MMA in modern days, no one is getting in the ring and beating John Jones without brilliant basics in martial arts. You've got to have a brilliant basic understanding of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and striking if you're ever going to become good enough, elite enough, and have the mentality to beat a John Jones or ever get to that level. And I just think the basics.
That's true. And it's the thing for me. I've spoken to, as you know, I get access to some players. I was at the level of Premier League players all the time, but I've spoken to some players. I've listened to them, and a lot of them have said, especially maybe at their own clubs that are struggling and stuff like that, they've said that the manager plays to the opposition all the time, or we haven't got a consistent way of playing, or there's not a way of playing that is sustainable. And even the players know this. And it's harder for them, now rightly or wrongly, you can say whatever, but it's hard for them to have belief in that system or in that manager if there's nothing consistent, if there's nothing tangible for them to actually be like, you know what, this is something we can believe in. The players on the pitch clearly don't believe in what's happening. And the mentality of Man United players, yes, it should be questioned, but it's one of those ones I look at, it's like, but how can they have this elite mentality when they don't even believe in what they're doing in the first place? And I think what Staffy was coming from is correct in terms of, if we build a basic patterns of play, if we build a basic structure in the team, then it's easier for us to go against the mentality of the players because, guys, you've got a base already to work from. How are you not executing it correctly?
Yeah,
the base that we're working from right now is not a base.
I said at the start, bro. I literally said at the start, like the way we've played football from the first three games, obviously up until Liverpool.
Yeah,
like everything was working. The only thing we did not do is put the ball in the back of the net. I had the privilege to go to the first game of the season. I literally sat there going, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be one of those seasons again." Literally everything that you wanted from last season was happening. What we did from Man City was transferred into the first season. I saw it. My own eyes. I'm sitting there, like objectively, and with pressure in my eyes, looking, going, I want to see certain changes now. I'm seeing it on the pitch. We're not getting the results. Like I said to you, once you get the result for your performance, you then believe in that performance.
Yeah,
Terry's just speaking about fighting. It's no different from me in athletics. If I'm competing, I have to. If I don't get the results, even if I feel good in that circle, even if I execute the positions, if I don't get the results in the end, I will start to question what I'm doing.
And I understand that, But you're also at the same time, you gotta remember, if they truly believe in what they're doing, even if results don't come, they will continue on.
I
So
disagree.
I think it depends. If something's not that great, it's easier to lose faith in it than it's something that you think is great. So yes, we're missing chances, and yes, in the opening games things changed, and we weren't being clinical. But if those players really believed in how we was doing and what we was doing,
but you have to look at the players
without those goals going in, you could see them. You would see the mentality kick in.
It's not like it's. If it was a new manager, I'd understand that theory 100%, because a new manager comes in and it's like, raw, we play better football. I'm going to give it time. But some of these players, majority of these players, have been with this manager already for long enough. So this is what I was saying about water under the bridge earlier, if you recall what I said. With this manager specifically, even if he starts to get it right now, because they're showing the patterns and everything else, it's too much too gone. I think it's too far too gone. So because it's too far too gone, he may be getting it right now, but they still won't put that effort in for him, because like, you know what? Time's done now, bro. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. 3 years is enough for these players to go, you know what? Next manager.
I get that. I'm going to go to some of these super chats here, just out of the interest of time. This here says Porto lost to 10 men Bodo Glint, who we meet in November. We meet both of those teams, of course. Yeah, you don't relaunch a bad restaurant with the same head chef. You need a restart. And yeah, look, I agree with that. I do agree with you.
Gordon Ramsay would do that. Kitchen Nightmares, great show. Great show.
Yeah, but that is a great point. Sometimes it isn't, again, but that's if the chef, again, you have to, but with those shows, you get the inside track because you're seeing what's actually going on. That's why I'm saying I'm not making an overarching statement and writing it in stone, signing it with blood about Ineos just yet. Biggest reason, I'll be honest, I'm going to be very honest about this, because I don't want the clip out there. I don't want the clip out there of me saying these guys are no different to the Glazers, and in 6 months I'm like, oh my God, they're amazing. I'm going to hold my judgment on it. I'm waiting. Fergie years of struggle, was it this bad? I've held on to Hopium for a long time. Versus Spurs is the last straw. Do you want to know what it is though, V33? The managers, you can't compare the manager situations. And I'll tell you as to why. Fergie was rebuilding the whole club, because managers in the 80s did the job of the head coach now, the sporting director, and the footballing or technical director. It's not comparable to modern day head coaches. So it's got to stop. This man, Ten Hag's job now is to coach the first team. It's pretty much it. Yeah. His job isn't to run. The likes of the overarching club getting better, that is still going to take 2 or 3 years. Just because they sack Ten Hag and bring in a better manager, we are not going to be at Arsenal and City's level in a month consistently. It isn't going to happen. The squad ain't ready for that. But what can happen, and this is the problem with and I want to let everyone know, by the way, 7 p.m. tonight, I am, for the first time in many, many years, I am challenging, going to be challenging the opinions of this man, because I think some of them are wrong, and it's why he's asked me to come on to do this. I'm on the United stand to debate Mark Goldbridge tonight, 7 p.m. About some of these situations. But although this squad and the players need to be improved, that does not excuse the lack of... They are good enough to play better basic football, in my opinion. Terry, you've been in this third-year syndrome with Jose, Oli, and now Ten Hag. Player culture could be a problem, not the manager. I agree, Ricky.
Not. No. Can I answer that?
Go on.
Can I answer that? Because I have... Where is it? I saved this yesterday. Leah's, you guys know
Leah's.
Leah's. You know Leah's. Where is it? It's right here, actually. Fuck, I can't open it. Anyways, the amount of players that are left from Louis van Gaal era, Jose Mourinho era, and what's his name?
Oli.
And Oli versus Ten Hag is actually insane. More than, I think it was about 70% of the squad is Ten Hag's.
Yeah, it's 8.
And there was only like one from Louis van Gaal, which is Rashford, and what's his name, Shaw, who's out anyways. And then you have Dalot from Oli, and is it Oli? No, Dalot was only from Moyes. And then you have just a couple players from Oli, like Bruno and them. The majority of the squad is his. This is what people need to understand. These are not the same players. And this is why when I talk about coaching, you look at him yesterday. Mazraoui's been amazing. Yesterday, he looked like a fish out of water. De Ligt has been amazing. Yesterday looked like a fish out of water. Dalot has had an amazing season so far. Yesterday couldn't do anything right on the pitch. Lisandro Martinez, who a lot of people rave for, he was bad yesterday. A lot of these players are good elsewhere, and they're just bad here. We need to stop talking about, oh, these are the same players that threw other managers under the bus. No, they're
Wait,
not.
you've just literally categorically said they were amazing and then shit yesterday. So what is it? If they've been good so far, your words by the way, if they've been amazing so far, but shit yesterday,
That's 3
is that
players
not
that
on the
I named.
player? Is
Okay,
that
so
on
you
the
can
player?
be amazing. Okay, so you can do an individual job that's good, but it doesn't mean that you collectively play good as a
Bro,
team.
I'm going off your word. You've said so far this season. These are your words, not mine. So I'm just going.
Yeah, I named like 3 players. Why
So
you acting
far
like I
this-
named the whole
don't
team?
don't get hyped, bro. I'm just repeating what you said. You've said it live
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm not getting hyped.
You said
I'm
this, so
defending my
far this
point.
season. Wait there. You said so far this season they've been amazing, but then you've just listed
Name
about
them.
4 or 5 players
Name
that were
them.
shit yesterday.
Name them.
Do you mean
Name
bro?
who I just
You
named.
have are you
Name
trying
who
to
I
doubt
just
you just
named.
said?
Name who I just named.
I'm not doing childish stuff. You're a grown man.
It's not
You just said what you
childish.
just said.
Name
Yes
who
or
I
no?
just named. I named 3 players that yesterday looked like a fish out
But
of
that's got
water,
nothing
but
to
they've
do
been
with
individually
the
good.
question I'm asking you, bro. Listen to the question, because you're going off your head just because you've said something.
I'm not going off my head. You're trying to catch me off.
I'm
as
not
if
trying
I'm
to
saying
catch
this
you.
team
I'm
has been
trying to
amazing until
understand, bro,
yesterday.
because sometimes you say stuff without understanding. That's what I'm trying to say. I need to
I'm
understand
very
what you're
aware of
saying
what I'm
to
saying.
take in what you're
I don't
saying.
think you're understanding what I'm saying.
Bro, I'm not understanding, so I'm asking the question, you dumb fuck. What's wrong with you, bro?
Have some
Wait.
self-respect, bro. Have some
Take
Come
fucking
on,
piss,
self-respect.
bro.
Have some fucking because
Bro,
I've
you
had
do it
enough of
every
you. Have
fucking
some
time,
fucking
mate. Take
self-respect.
piss,
I didn't
bro.
call you names, bro.
Bro, I don't give a shit, bro. I'll be honest. You get to this level, yeah? I'm asking you a question respectfully. And
Bro, you
think I'm
don't be
trying to catch
talking
you out
like that on
I'm
other
fucking
streams, bro. Have
you
some
got
fucking
something,
self-respect.
bro.
I don't give a fuck about you, bro.
Bro, that's
I don't give
fine.
a fuck
That's
about you,
cool.
bro.
That's
Bro,
cool,
you
bro.
wanna turn this shit like that? I'll turn it, bro. I don't give a fuck, bro.
Don't take it personal.
Guys, listen. I've muted you both because we ain't doing this here. This ain't the platform to be doing this. All right, we're here for normal football chat and conversation. And
Bro,
that's
I
what
kept
we're
it
here for.
football until he called me a dumb
That's
fuck,
cool,
bro. I
man.
didn't call
That's
no one no
cool.
fucking names.
I know, guys. We're right near the end anyway. I'm gonna do these last couple of super chats
Bro,
here.
that's why I told you, don't invite me when this guy's on the stream, bro. It's just a waste of my fucking time,
Bro,
bro.
don't carry it on, bro. I've asked you a question. respectfully, and you
No,
asked
you
me
didn't, bro. Shut the fuck
You
up.
Bro,
Don't try
I
to be
asked, bro,
respectful
I
now,
repeated
bro.
what you said.
Don't
I
fucking try to
repeated
be
what you said,
respectful
and you're
now,
getting
bro.
your
Fuck
feelings.
off.
Bro, you repeat.
Fuck
I
off.
repeated what you said.
Don't fucking talk to me. I told
Sorry, guys. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
I'm going to do these last couple of super chats here, gents. First one is culture. Ten Hag already created something with all the Dutch and former players coming to United and still can't do anything. And now the next manager will have to revamp Dutch FC. It will take years. I hear you. These are new players. How can it be the mentality? Most of them join from winning teams. Listen, I do think mentality is an issue, but when the basics aren't there, it gets your mentality. I said it the other day. If you join a new company, you could be the best salesman in your company. Join a new one, and they only teach you about half the products and only teach you about a third of the processes in their company. Trust me, your confidence will be knocked within a few months. You'll start because you'll struggle because you don't know. And knowledge is power. It's the same thing here. When the basics aren't there, you'll crumble, my friend. The coach needs to understand modern football. A young coach would be my preference. Ten Hag, man management skills have been a major downfall. I completely agree with you on that. Look, it is the end of the show. We're going to see you later on the Top 6 show. This video is going to redirect you to that. So we'll see you at 5 p.m. Staffy, Najee, look, I love both of you too. I know you guys have scrapped here today. I will chat with you both as well. Not in a bad way. Just make sure you're all both all right. I know you're fucking grown men as well. I'm not trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Condescend.
Yeah.
Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.